Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are new to my channel, I am Uri, and in today's video, I am going to share with you how I was able to change the look of a coffee table and a side table for my friend. So let's get going. Let me share with you step by step what I did to transform these two tables.
Uri Designs, unique expressions.
First thing to do always is to clean the furniture pieces you're working on really good. This will help with the adhesion of the paint, but it's also good to clean it before you sand your pieces. What you need is a good degreaser. I am using Crock Cutter. Dawn dishwasher soap is good as well because it's a good degreaser. Very important is to, after you clean it with your degreaser, to get rid of all the residue that the degreaser will leave. So what I do is I get water and a cloth and I kind of like wash it off completely, and then I dry it until I don't see any soap or any residue on the furniture. It's time to sand off the top, and I'm going to be using my electric rotary sander in level 1. I'm connecting it with a chop vac to be able to use it indoors. And I'm using 220 sandpaper to go very lightly to remove the finish on top. I am going really careful. I don't want to mess up the wood. All I want is to remove the finish on top. And it's working nicely. You can see it here. These two tables are Ethan Allen's tables, and I did a research, and mainly what they use for their furniture is cherry wood. And I can see this wood is cherry wood. It has some red undertones, so when deciding what type of stain color to use, I have to consider that because the red undertones might come up eventually, so I cannot go too light on the stain color. Now I'm just scuff sanding the bottom part, and this was plan A. I was just planning to paint over the black paint, so I'm just scuff sanding it first. For the top of the big table, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get rid of the finish using 220 sandpaper and level 1. Just goes very slowly, trying to get rid of all the finish so I can apply a different color stain on the top. And for the corners, I am sanding off the finish by hand because my rotary electric sander doesn't reach. I'm using 220 sandpaper as well. So this is the way that they were looking so far, just removing the finish on the top and leaving the paint color on the bottom. The idea is to change the color, so I'm asking my client right now. Okay, Gladys, this is what I have so far. My plan is to stain this so it will be a little darker, but it's going to show the wood grain. And my suggestion is to go with these beautiful green colors. I'm not sure which one you prefer. This is like a light blue green. I love this with the intention of maybe one day put it in your beach cottage. And this one, it's deep green. I think the best way to describe you this one, it's like hunter green. It's called palmetto. And this one, it's called sea glass. Let me know which one you both like. Show it to Armando. But so far, I scuff sand this because I want to be able to paint over it with the chalk mineral paint. And on top of this one, I'm going to do a stain, and it's gonna look a little darker, but not too much. I also sent her an image with a furniture piece painted in the lighter green so she can have an idea. And this is another option if you like. This is orange. It's Barcelona orange. It's beautiful color. I can send you a picture on a furniture after. And here it is, the furniture piece I sent her. I sent her as well these two samples to see if she wants me to add wax, white wax or black wax. So I talked to my client and they don't want the two tones anymore on the table. So the plan is to strip the paint that is on the base on both of the tables, get rid of that black paint completely. So let's get going. Let's go into the store. I'm going to take you along the way. We're gonna go inside Lowe's to find all the materials that I need to strip that paint. The first thing I'm going to grab is the paint stripper, and I did some research and I found that this one is not as harsh and the chemicals are not as strong, and I'm planning to use this in my garage. So this is the best option right now. And I'm going to use something to clean the residue after. Something to protect the floor, and something to protect my hands. And because Starbucks is across the street from Lowe's, I decided to get a treat. Cheers! Now let's get back to work. This is all the materials I'm gonna be using. And as I mentioned before, I'm using citrus strip, and I am going to put it in a different container so it'll be easier for me to apply it. I'm going to use my gloves. I'm using a mask. Anyway, even though I'm outside, I don't want the fumes to go in my nose, and I'm very sensitive to chemicals, and so I have to protect myself. Now, using these cheap brushes, I am going to just apply enough all over the table. Now I'm going to be using cling wrap to wrap around the furniture. What this is going to do is that it's going to allow the citrus strip to dry slowly, because right now I live in South Florida and it's really warm here, so this is going to dry so quick if I don't wrap it. So I waited 2 hours and I came back and wrapped it, and I started to just remove it with a plastic spatula, and I'm just going to take my time to get rid of all this junk. A lot of people say that this process is satisfying. For me, it's very messy. I don't really enjoy this process at all. I'm going to clean with the mineral spirit the residue, and for the big one, I am applying citrus strip the same way I did with the little one. In this case, I'm going to wrap it around. with the cling wrap, but I'm going to leave it for 24 hours because my experience with the little one was that I needed to apply twice the citrus strip. I'm going to try to avoid making 2 applications, and instead I'm going to just leave it for a longer period of time. And moving forward with the small table, I am removing the rest of the black paint with my electric sander. So this is what I have so far with the little table. I was able to get rid of all the black, almost all of it. I still have some here. The plan is to get rid of it with a hand sanded, but I love the wood. It's cherry, so I have to keep in mind that this has some red undertones, so I have to test what type of color stain I'm going to use. So probably here on the legs, I'm gonna test different kind and take good pictures so I can send them to my client and see which one they like better. And we still have to do the big one, and it's in the garage already with the solution to strip it, and I'm gonna do that later on. I need to go and run errands, but then later on when it's not that hot outside, I'm going to take care of that. So that's the plan. It's a lot of work, but it's gonna be worth it at the end, I know. Now I decided to change the sandpaper to 80 grit, and I'm going to test the speed and start with a level 1 and progress to see if it's better to go a little harder and faster. And I'm using 80 grit for the corners now. I found this tool that it's so great. I really recommend it. In that way, it's better instead of folding the sandpaper in my hands. This goes so much faster. After removing all the black paint, I'm going to scuff sand the wood using 100 grit sandpaper. What this is going to do is that it's going to smooth out the wood, and it's going to be nice to the touch. Next, I am going to use this water-based pre-stain wood conditioner before I apply the stain. I am using a rag to apply the wood conditioner. What this conditioner is going to be doing is that it's going to help the stain to apply to the wood beautiful, and it's going to prevent from blotchiness. So I'm going to let it dry for 2 hours, no more than that, and I send my clients samples of the colors to use, and they selected red mahogany. So I'm going to be using this red mahogany by Bears. It's water based, and I'm going to apply it with the brush, and then I'm going to get rid of the excess with a length-free cloth. This is a very rich and beautiful color, and it's going to go very nicely with the furniture they have already in their home. And to be able to use the brush later, I'm putting the brushes in a Ziploc with a paper towel. To get rid of that roughness, I'm going to scuff sand it with 100 grit sandpaper. So much smoother. As a top coat, I'm going to be using the polyurethane by Minwax. It's a clear satin. It's recommended that you shake it a lot before you spray. I always like to spray before I aim to the furniture to avoid dripping. Now, after applying the wood conditioner to the big table, I am applying the stain. I let it dry for 24 hours. Now I'm going to apply the polyurethane. I let it dry for 2 hours and then I apply a second coat. I did the same for the small table. And then I let it dry for 24 hours completely. And to add more protection, I decided to add this wax. It's by Dixie Belle. It's called Big Mama's Butter. And it's kind of like butter. It's very soft. The reason why I decided to apply this is because I wanted to add a little bit of a sheen to the finish and to add more protection. I always like to put in a different container the wax so I don't contaminate the rest that is in the can. Using a lint-free cloth, I'm just getting rid of the excess. And I'm going to do the same thing for the top and the big table. Changing the look for these two tables has been very rewarding at the end, but it took a lot of work, I have to confess. But the final results are great. I love how they came out. What do you think? Delivering the tables today. I'm excited and nervous at the same time. I want to make sure that they are pleased with the results. So until I don't see their faces, I'm not gonna have peace. The moment of truth, unloading them and putting them in place. And here they are, where they belong. Just to remind you, this is how they used to look like, and this is how they look now. I am so pleased. They love it and they're very pleased. So I am happy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.